Confidence is the magnet, not effort. When you walk into a room, it's not your clothes, your makeup, or your smile that really captures lasting attention. It's your energy. It's how you hold your head up without needing to be seen. Confidence isn't about talking the loudest, trying the hardest, or doing the most. It's about knowing exactly who you are, what you bring to the table, and not being afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't honor that. When it comes to relationships, many women are taught to give, to serve, to prove they're worthy of being chosen. But that mindset does the exact opposite. It drains you, it makes you second-guess yourself, and worst of all, it puts the power in someone else's hands. But confidence flips the script. When a woman is confident, she doesn't worry about whether she's enough. She already knows she is. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't try to convince a man to stay. She creates a space so strong and peaceful that only the right one can stand in it. Confidence shows in the way you speak. You don't have to say much, but when you do, it's clear, intentional, and rooted in self-respect. You don't beg, you don't plead, you don't send paragraph texts explaining your worth. Your energy does that for you, and men feel it. They may not always know how to explain it, but they feel that difference. That unshakable self-belief, that's the hook. That's what keeps them wondering about you, even in your silence. That's what makes them step up or step aside. The thing about effort is this. When you overextend yourself to get or keep someone's attention, you send a message, whether you realize it or not, that you think you're not enough without the extra. You think you need to impress, to mold, to hustle your way into someone's life. But a confident woman knows that the right man won't need all that. He just needs the real you. The one who knows she's rare, the one who values her peace more than a temporary connection, the one who doesn't treat love like a reward, but like a mutual exchange of respect. Real confidence doesn't fear walking away. It doesn't flinch at silence. It doesn't tolerate half-hearted love, mixed signals, or men who don't know what they want. It's not arrogant. It's not loud. It's just steady. It says, I'm good with or without you. And that energy is what keeps people coming back. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not because you tried so hard to be remembered, but because you stood so firmly in your truth that you couldn't be ignored. When a woman is confident, she doesn't compete. She's too focused on her own lane to worry about what's going on in someone else's. She doesn't force things to happen. She allows. She receives, she observes. She knows her value doesn't increase or decrease based on someone's inability to recognize it. She's not bitter when people leave. She's better for having let them go. So while others are out there playing games, doing the most, and exhausting themselves just to feel seen, a confident woman simply exists in her power. And in doing so, she draws exactly what's meant for her without lifting a finger. Because confidence is the magnet, not effort. Silence and peace speak louder than words. There's something powerful about a woman who doesn't react to every slight, doesn't respond to every call for attention, and doesn't feel the need to explain herself over and over again. That kind of presence is rare, and it speaks volumes. In a world where everyone is loud, talking over each other, defending themselves constantly, trying to prove a point, the woman who chooses peace and silence becomes unforgettable. She becomes the mystery he can't figure out, the calm he didn't know he needed, the one who lingers in his mind long after the conversation ends. When you're always available, always explaining, always proving something, you give away your power. But when you choose silence in moments of chaos, you show strength. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. It says, I don't need to fight for what I already know to be true. Peace isn't passivity. It's choosing your energy carefully, not letting anyone pull you into their storm. A woman who leads with peace doesn't rush to fix what isn't hers to fix. She knows that not every battle is hers to fight, and not every message deserves a reply. And that restraint, that stillness, it commands respect in ways shouting never can. Men notice it. They feel it. When a woman pulls back with grace instead of bitterness, it forces them to sit with the silence. It makes them wonder, not because she's playing games, but because she refuses to play at all. She's not out here performing, trying to hold someone's attention. She's too grounded for that. Her silence isn't a punishment, it's a boundary. Her peace isn't distance, it's protection. And the man who is real, who has the capacity for depth, he will lean into that silence, not run from it. There is a deep kind of power in the woman who chooses peace over reaction. In an argument, she doesn't escalate, she pauses. In confusion, she doesn't demand clarity from others, she creates clarity within herself. And in doing so, she shifts the dynamic completely, because now the focus isn't on what he does or doesn't do. The focus is on her emotional safety, her environment, her clarity. She becomes the authority in her own life. And that kind of woman doesn't beg for anyone to stay. Peace radiates. It's felt before it's seen. It's in the way she walks into a room without trying to take it over. It's in the way she lets her silence speak when drama knocks on her door. It's in the way she chooses herself quietly and consistently. That energy doesn't chase, doesn't cling, doesn't compete. It simply exists and demands to be respected. The kind of woman who embraces peace is not for everyone, and she knows that. She's okay with losing people who are addicted to chaos, because she's committed to preserving what she's built inside. There's a lesson in knowing when to speak and when to stay still, when to let your energy do the talking, when to walk away not with anger, but with dignity. That silence, that peace, it's not emptiness, it's presence. It's the quiet strength that turns heads, shifts energy, and leaves a lasting impression. A man can hear a woman's silence louder than her words when that silence comes from self-respect, not fear. And that peace she carries, that's what separates her from the rest. That's what she says. But what she no longer needs to say. Self-respect is more attractive than sacrifice. It's not about how much you're willing to give up for someone. It's about how firmly you stand in your value, even when feelings are involved. Too often, people believe that loving someone means constantly sacrificing your needs, your boundaries, and your peace to make the other person happy. But the truth is, when you give up pieces of yourself just to be loved, you teach someone how to love a version of you that doesn't truly exist. And in the end, you lose both them and yourself. A woman who respects herself doesn't see love as a battlefield where she has to prove her worth through pain. She knows that real love does not require her to suffer. It doesn't demand that she tolerate disrespect or shrink herself to avoid conflict. She doesn't measure her love by how much she can endure, but by how much she can remain true to who she is. That kind of self-respect is powerful and deeply attractive. It sends a clear message that her love is a gift, not a bargain. When a woman respects herself, she doesn't say yes when she means no. She doesn't abandon her standards just to keep someone around. She doesn't go quiet when something hurts her. And she doesn't stay in situations where her spirit is constantly being broken in the name of working it out. She understands that love should never require her to betray herself. And because she stands firm in that truth, she becomes someone who is respected in return. Real men don't admire a woman who breaks herself to please them. They admire the one who knows what she deserves and isn't afraid to demand it without apology. There's nothing attractive about losing your identity for someone else. Sacrifice sounds romantic in theory, but when it becomes a pattern, it turns into self-abandonment. And once you start sacrificing your values, your happiness, and your emotional safety, you begin to disappear. You become invisible in your own relationship, hoping that one day they'll see all that you've given and love you more for it. But love that requires you to vanish is not love, it's control. And control is not attractive. Respect is. A woman with self-respect walks differently. She loves from a full heart, not from desperation. She's generous, but she's not a doormat. She gives, but she also receives. She listens, but she also speaks her truth. She forgives, but she doesn't forget who she is. And if someone continues to dishonor her, she walks away, not out of bitterness, but because she refuses to stay in a space where she is not valued. That walk-away power, that's what keeps her unforgettable. Men are drawn to women who have a center, who don't lose themselves in relationships. A woman who makes it clear that her love comes with boundaries commands respect, not through fear, but through authenticity. Because the moment you start sacrificing everything to keep a connection, it becomes one-sided. And real love cannot grow in imbalance. It grows when two people bring their full selves to the table, not when one gives everything and the other just takes. Self-respect teaches people how to treat you. It draws the right kind of attention, the kind that sees your value without you having to shout it. It separates those who are meant to grow with you from those who were only passing through. It doesn't mean you don't love deeply. It just means you love yourself enough to never be lost in the process. That's where the real power lies. Not in sacrifice, but in standing tall in who you are and never letting love cost you your dignity. A full life makes you unforgettable. There's a different kind of glow that surrounds someone who isn't waiting for love to complete them. When your life is rich with meaning, purpose, joy, and peace, you don't chase attention, you attract it effortlessly. You become magnetic not because you're looking for validation, but because you're already living in a way that makes your presence feel like a privilege to be part of. When you have your own dreams, passions, and a routine that excites you, your energy becomes too rare to ignore. People remember the woman who had things going for her beyond a relationship, the one who didn't need constant company because she enjoyed her own, the one who knew how to laugh without relying on someone else to bring joy into her world. A woman like that isn't desperate for love, she's selective about it. And that selectiveness makes her stand out in a world where so many settle. A full life doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you strong, stable, and whole. You're not out here waiting for someone to rescue you or validate you. You are your own source of fulfillment. And that independence is unforgettable. When a woman is grounded in her own life, she doesn't get consumed in the identity of someone else. She can love deeply, but she never forgets who she is in the process. She's not afraid to say no, to take time for herself, or to put her goals first when necessary. She knows that being in love should never mean putting her life on hold. And because of that, she becomes the woman who inspires, not the woman who disappears behind someone else's story. The woman who is living fully doesn't spend her days waiting on a text or obsessing over mixed signals. She's too busy becoming the best version of herself. She's in rooms that challenge her, around people who uplift her, chasing goals that keep her focused. Her happiness isn't conditional, it's internal. And that internal joy radiates in a way that no surface-level attraction can match. When someone enters her life, they're not entering a void, they're entering a world she built, a world with color, rhythm, structure, and soul. That world doesn't need saving, it welcomes the right kind of addition. There's a different kind of respect a man has for a woman who has built her own life. He sees that she's not looking for someone to fix her or fill her. He knows that being with her is a choice she makes, not a need she has. And that distinction changes everything. It makes her love feel like a privilege, not an obligation. It makes her attention feel like a gift, not something owed. The right man won't be intimidated by her full life. He'll be inspired by it, and he'll want to add to it, not subtract from it. Living a full life also means knowing how to walk away from things that don't serve you. You don't cling because you're not afraid to be alone. You don't settle because you've tasted what it's like to be fulfilled on your own. And that self-trust makes you unforgettable. You're not just another face in the crowd. You're the woman who lit up a room with more than beauty, with purpose, with joy, with a presence that lingered long after you left. You don't become unforgettable by trying to be. You become unforgettable when you're too focused on living to worry about being remembered. You become unforgettable when your life is already so full that anyone who enters it knows they're stepping into something extraordinary. Don't ask how to keep him, ask if he's worth keeping. That one shift in perspective can change everything. So many people spend their energy trying to figure out how to hold on to someone, how to make them stay, how to please them, impress them, or become exactly what they think that person wants. But in doing all that, they forget to stop and ask the most important question of all. Is this person even worth all that effort? Does he bring peace, value, consistency, and growth into your life, or is he just taking up space because you're afraid to be alone? Trying to keep someone who doesn't match your standards, doesn't communicate clearly, or doesn't see your worth will only leave you feeling exhausted and insecure. And no matter how much you give, love, or adjust yourself, it will never be enough for the wrong one. The moment you start asking how to keep someone, you start giving your power away. But when you flip that question and start evaluating whether or not he deserves a place in your life, you take your power back. Relationships are not meant to be survival tests. They're not supposed to feel like auditions. If you're constantly trying to figure out what to say, how to act, what to wear, or how to be just right so he won't leave, then it's not love, it's fear. And fear-based love never lasts. A man who is right for you will not need to be chased, managed, or babysat. He will meet you where you are. He will come with intention, effort, and clarity. He will add to your life, not confuse it. There's a difference between wanting someone and needing to prove you're worthy of them. When you value yourself, you stop entertaining anything that threatens your peace. You don't settle for bare minimum, and you don't over-explain your stand. You observe how someone shows up, not just what they say. You see if his actions align with his promises. You take your time, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're protecting what's sacred, your heart, your energy, your future. If you have to ask how to keep him, the real question might be, what are you afraid of losing? Are you afraid of being alone, or are you afraid of letting go of the idea of him? Sometimes it's not the person we're holding on to, it's the fantasy of what we hope they would become. But potential doesn't pay emotional bills. You can't build a relationship on what-ifs. You need consistency, safety, and respect in the present, not just dreams for the future. The truth is, the right person will make it easy to know. You won't be left guessing. You won't be stuck in confusion. You won't be losing sleep wondering if you're good enough. You'll feel chosen, not tolerated. And if you don't feel that, then maybe it's time to stop trying to keep someone and start asking why you're holding on at all. You're not hard to love. You're not too much. You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person. A man who is truly for you will not need convincing. He will know. And he will show it not with words, but with consistency, effort, and clarity. Until then, stop asking how to keep him. Ask what keeping him is costing you. Because your peace, your worth, and your joy should never be the price of someone else's presence.